Did the play speak to us?
Isaac Gomez's The Way She Spoke is relentlessly horrifying. An actress burst on stage complaining about an audition, and she speaks to the audience as if it were a writer friend of hers, Isaac Gomez, who has just written a play called The Way She Spoke, which she starts to read to us. It's about a Mexican-American border town where all the women disappear. When some of them are found, they have just been raped and brutally murdered. However, we get a vivid picture this time where the men and police have all the power against the poor female factory workers. Women seem to exist just for men's sadistic pleasures to be disposed of when finished. Kate Del Castillo is an excellent actress, but I did find it difficult sometimes to differentiate the various characters. But despite that, she told a very compelling story. Warning, this will put you off your comfort levels. Happy face minus.
In I Spy, Jamie Jackson and Soo-hee Yoon have produced a charming reminder of what we have and what we too often take for granted. Young Jose, a sweet, undocumented Mexican boy, still dreams the American dream. He believes hard work and honesty will eventually bring that to him. I found this storyline to be a bit confusing, with bizarre plot twists and some off-the-wall resolutions, but the script was consistently funny, the music beautifully performed, and many of the performances absolutely hysterical. During this time of violence and political upheaval, it's important to remember that the United States is still the light of the world. That's why the huddled masses yearning to be free still want to come here. But our current government is fighting against everything we have ever been taught to believe, and unless this is dealt with effectively and soon, the light of the world is going to go out. For its small, charming, upbeat message, I'd like to give this a very happy face.
In addition to the Stoppard plays, Dogs Hamlet and Cahoots Mackers, PTP, Potomac Theater Project, is doing an evening of Havel plays from the Vanek cycle, and they're calling it The Passion of Thought. In addition to Havel, they are bracketed by a Pinter play of an interrogation where a guy is being terrorized, and a Beckett play where a director and her assistant are sort of like manipulating an actor to represent catastrophe. Vanek is a former political prisoner who, like Havel, has very strong beliefs and is sort of a moral center, and this sort of both encourages and enrages everybody else. It's a really wonderful evening of short plays that fit well together. Happy face.
Jake Goldbas and I saw Go Puck Yourself, a Shakespeare comedy adapted by Chris Weigand and Jenny Yasko, much more on Facebook, and we both loved this. It amazes me how they managed to make Shakespeare work within the confines of Shakespeare's text and make it relevant to today's going on with just switching some gender roles. In A Midsummer's Night's Dream, you have these four couples end up in the woods, and then there's this fairy thing going on where it's rude mechanicals turning into asses and people falling in love with the wrong thing, and it's a lot of fun. And the fact that they were able to make the text so conversational that anyone who was afraid they wouldn't get Shakespeare would definitely come to this. I especially like the way they handle my favorite scene where Hermia is going on about her being so short and being very snarky. The entire cast was a joy to behold. We always go see them.
This is my kind of show. It was intelligent, literate, and passionate, with lots of historical references. In 1816, the poet Lord Byron is joined in his Swiss mansion by his intimate circle of friends, consisting of Mary Shelley, her husband Percy Bysshe Shelley, her sister Claire Clairmont, and Byron's personal doctor John Polidori. While they are isolated there, taking opium, drinking, and living largely as libertines, their massive egos and intellects prompt them to engage in a contest. Who can write the best horror story? Several interesting tales come out of it, but the best was Mary Shelley's immortal Frankenstein. The others have been almost forgotten, but Frankenstein is still with us today, an enduring warning against disobeying the laws of nature. Beautifully written, skillfully directed, brilliantly acted with stunning costumes. In spite of some interesting effects, the lighting could have been better, but the performance took place in the living room of the townhouse on 22nd Street, in which Rip Torn and Geraldine Page used to live, so the lighting designer was working in a difficult situation. Regardless, it was intimate and very much like it must have been in Lord Byron's mansion when these great minds created their masterpieces. Happy face. For this fine performance and play, we give it a happy face.
At MCC is Moscow, 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 or Moscow 5 times, an adaptation of Three Sisters, Chekhov's play by Hallie Pfeiffer, directed by Trip Coleman, which radically updates the language and streamlines the play, but keeps the 1900 Russian countryside with the 3 unhappy sisters longing for Moscow. We still have Olga the oldest, who's an overworked school teacher.
Played by Rebecca Henderson.
Masha, who's the middle one, a very unhappily married wife who longs for the major who comes to town.
Lovesick major. And played by Chris Perfidy as Masha, and Alfredo Narcisco is the lovesick major.
And Irina, the youngest, who
Gevinson.
is idealistic and yearns to work. She's involved with the Baron,
Stephen Boyer,
who wants to marry her, but she just wants to be friends. And there's a team of other players, a crazy guy, an alcoholic doctor, an old servant.
And their weakling brother, played by Greg Hildreth, who they think is going to be the scientist, and they're all admiring of him.
But he marries the local slut.
I know.
So it's what's wonderful about this is that it managed to be hilarious and still deeply moving. It's half the length of a normal production of Three Sisters, but it gives you all the information and all the poignancy that Chekhov does in more than 3 hours.
And also I want to say that the slut is played by Sass Goldberg, and Masha's husband, who just thinks that he adores her and he's fawning after her, and he's a Latin teacher, is played by Ryan Spahn. And I just want to say, I love Chekhov, and no one gets Chekhov. They don't realize it's a comedy. They all treat it like it's some sort of big tragedy. It's like, but no, Hallie Pfeiffer captures the pure comedy of it. And the point of Chekhov is, it's funny and you're laughing your head off until the heart of it gets to you at the final scene, and it sucker punches you, and you're like crying and like, oh my God. I mean, and she did that in 95 minutes. I know a lot of people were turning their nose up at it, but really, I'm telling you, this was genius, brilliant, terrific cast. I loved this.
So did I.
So if you're a true Chekhov fan,
yeah, you definitely want to rush into a subway or a train. Don't stay home longing for this play. Make sure you get there. So, absolute happy face.
Happy, 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 happy face. Louis Alfaro's Mojada ingeniously uses the Medea story to tell the harrowing tale of a Mexican family immigrating to America. Jason packs up his reluctant wife, Medea, his son, Akan, to cross the border into America, where they end up in Queens. Tita is a servant who has magical gifts with herbs. She acts as the chorus. Medea has magical gifts with her needles and makes a living as a seamstress, while Jason is a construction worker for Pilar, a lady boss. However, he has ambitions to be more, and she has ambitions with him. Medea won't leave the house after the trauma of crossing the border, so Tita brings Luisa, a street vendor of churros, to be her friend. Will Medea ever be able to leave the house and return home with her son? What are Pilar's intentions towards Jason and Khan? How do all the elements of Medea factor in? I must say, just like Hallie Pfeiffer did with Moscow x5, Louis Alfaro has done a better job than the original Medea. In this version, you cheer the ending instead of being horrified by it. The cast is superlative. Sabina Zuniga Valar as Medea starts out as a victim with all these bad things happening to her, but by the end, she is a force to be reckoned with. The play will satisfy fans and neophytes of Greek tragedies. Absolute happy face, and you know how I feel about Greek theater, but this I loved.
Sometime in the early 90s, Roy Rich, an upper-middle-class white man from New Jersey, made a stupid mistake. He had one drink too many and killed a young Puerto Rican in an auto accident. The result was incarceration. This is a true story that serves as the basis for a white man's guide to Riker's Island. There are 2 characters in this drama, which was directed by Thomas G. Waits. Older Rich, played by the author, who appears briefly at the end and beginning, and young Rich, played by Connor Chase Stewart, who carries most of the action. As the play begins, Mr. Roy provides a brief introduction that includes his background, what he did, how he felt afterwards, and what happened as a result. He then introduces young Rich, and we watch him march bravely into a world for which he is totally unprepared. Mr. Stewart is remarkable. He ages from a vulnerable child into a hardened convict with great skill. Young Rich spent his time at Riker's as a minority, the only white person in his cell block. At one time or another, Mr. Stewart plays all the characters in Rich's everyday life: an African-American drug dealer, a Muslim fanatic, a transgender junkie, a Puerto Rican gang member who threatens to kill him. He moves from role to role with ease, speaking the ethnic dialects with strength and conviction. His performance is riveting. He is to be congratulated for his kind work. And for this, we give a happy face.
Wrong way, wrong way.
Oh.
I knew that was going to happen. Kevin Delaguila and Brad Alexander have taken Dav Pilkey's beloved Dogman and turned it into a musical for TheaterworksUSA. George and Harold detest A Tale of Two Cities that they are being forced to read in school. They figure they could do a better job making a musical instead, and they call it A Tale of Two Kitties. Petey is a villainous kitty robbing banks and escaping prison to wreak revenge against Dogman, who happens to have the body of a man and the head and instincts of a dog. Also terrorizing the town is Flippy, a bionic evil fish. Petey decides to clone himself to cause even more trouble. He ends up with Little Petey, who thinks of Petey as his papa. Little Petey is good and kind, and this does not sell well with Petey. Will Little Petey's goodness and kindness save the day, or will it be Dogman's bravery and loyalty? This was so delightful. I think I enjoyed it even more than the many school kids that were in attendance. They laughed at the physical humor, and I got a kick out of the clever send-up of A Tale of Two Cities. And the cast was just as delightful. This was highly entertaining for young and old and in between. This gets a happy face plus.
I wanted to say something about the Bacchae, which was done by the Classical Theater of Harlem up at Marcus Garvey Park. I was supposed to see it the day the power went off in Manhattan, and therefore didn't get there. And had I been able to see it, why we could have given this a review sooner than it's closing. It is closing this weekend, and I just wanted to say something.
Which is July 28th.
July 28th. Yes, I'm sorry. The Bacchae is a famous story in the Greek myths about a king, a young king, who refuses to worship the proper gods. And as they say in the play, you don't fight the gods, because when you fight the gods, you lose. And he definitely loses, and he loses in great style in this production in Harlem.
But you won't lose if you go to Classical Theater of Harlem, and you should check out the website, because they always do amazing things. And the guy who runs it, Ty Jones, went to University of Delaware, just like my kid did.
It's almost operatic in scope, and as has been their things in the past. I saw their Antigone last year, which was marvelous.
And I saw their Three Musketeers in the same park. It's a wonderful park.
Oh, it's a great venue.
So everyone should just check out Classical Theater of Harlem.
Yes, and highly recommended. They are doing a lot of educational things, and then later in the year they're going to do Christmas at Harlem, which they are repeating from last year. So it's a wonderful company, and see them when you get a chance. And by the way, this was free to the public. And that's something that we don't usually review, but they're worth it.
We do.
Do we?
We review Shakespeare all the time.
Oh, okay. Well, at any rate, they were a wonderful company, and it was well worth seeing.
Scott Siegel ended his town hall sequence with Broadway's Rising Stars, the annual show which lets us see the stars of tomorrow, graduates from the greatest theater programs in the country. This year was extra special because they had a returning alumna, Tony Award-winning Ali Stroker, who sang with the company Be a Lion from The Wiz. And there were other great things. There were twins, John and Matthew Drinkwater, doing Agony from Into the Woods, and so many great things, and I'm sure these will be the stars of tomorrow. Scott has other things coming up at Feinstein's which are worth checking out, even though no more at Town Hall until later.
And the Drinkwater twins are going to be at one of them, or brothers.
Oh, cool.
So check that out.
They were a lot of fun.
NYMF is still going on. You still have a chance to catch some more shows. This is an excerpt from Chance, a musical play about love, risk, and getting it right, at the Laurie Beechman, and Ben Cameron introduces Carrie Lavelle as the lady in Chance. And then I'm going to go to Robert Horn, the Tootsie book writer at the Outer Critics Circle Awards, because I didn't get to it last time.
We get to preview Chance, the music. I want you to know that throughout in San Francisco, or Riker presents a 50-something-year-old gay industrial psychologist with a lifelong passion for the romantic and glamorous leading ladies of Hollywood's golden age has a near-death experience and is intruded upon by a mysterious figure, the lady. But who is this apparition that has seemingly walked off the silver screen? An inner guide from the Jungian? Wonderful. From Union? Union. Collective unconscious. A musical hallucination resulting from a small stroke, or an undiagnosed nervous breakdown, or a lack of guided by this unlikely muse Gregory is pushed out of his safe, solitary world and into a turbulent, dangerous relationship with a young and very beautiful male escort named Chance. That unexpectedly leads him to a deeper understanding of what it means to love. This is my mind now. Our hero, Gregory, finally gets up the nerve to arrange for a date with Chance, the beautiful escort he's been ogling. We've all ogled. That he's been ogling online for over a year, but the date is a flop in more ways than one, and Gregory realizes that while it may look good in the window, when you go to try it on, it just doesn't seem to fit very well. Welcome to my life. Gregory scampers away from Chance's dirty, rundown apartment and heads to his favorite Castro bar where the lady is performing. And this is the song she sings. Thank you so much. You better take care when it's gnawing out of you. You better tell them all you resign. You can't purge that urge. Think of cocoa that if you must, like lust, something cooked up in your mind. Cream pink Suzette, have your cake and eat it too. Use a filling rich and refined. A shot of Grand Marnier, powdered sugar to dust like lust. Something cooked up in your mind. You think it's so beyond you. You can't control the flame. You make it slow, 'cause you don't know. Only you can take the blame. You think it's one way when you open that door. You'll never know what you may find. So soft on the inside, but till you bite the crust, like lust, something cooked up in your mind. You think it's all outside you, no chance to see it change. You want a lot, but it gets too hot in a scene. You can see that the rings. Take every little thing all together, let it stew. Eat sweet desserts after you dine. You can think it delicious, but just don't forget that it's just like lust. Something cooked up in your mind. Just like lust. Something cooked up in your mind.
Robert Horn.
Who wrote the book for Tootsie?
Who wrote the book for Tootsie?
I was telling everyone, it was like an old Neil Simon play with all those singers. It was genius.
Said anything nicer to me than that. I mean, Neil Simon, Larry Gelbart, Mel Brooks, Carol Burnett, Toadie Fields. I mean, these are the icons of comedy that taught me my craft. Not personally, although I wish they would have, but yes.
You know Toadie Fields? My favorite Toadie Fields routine.
Oh, yes.
Yes, dinner.
Yes. I'm ready. Before every show in Las Vegas, Toadie Fields, the first woman to ever play the large ballrooms in Tootsie, first woman to ever be paid $1 million in Las Vegas, started every show backstage and went, I'm ready, and came out and did her bit. I love Toadie Fields.
So tell me how you came about to writing Tootsie so brilliantly funny.
Well, the show came about, our incredible producers, Scott Sanders and Carol Heinemann, had seen a reading of another musical that I had done, and they were looking for a writer after Sir Larry Gelbart had passed away, and saw this reading and said, oh my God, I think that's the guy. I met with David Yazbek, which was David Yazbek, I mean, and it just took off from there, and we just had to figure out how to make it our own, how to make it relevant, honor the movie, but write our own story, and sort of over a 3-year process, the first year of which was nothing but talking, no writing, we wrote Tootsie, the musical.
Well, you nailed it. Congratulations. And congratulations on the OCC Awards. I can't wait to see you there.
Oh, I know. I'm just like, oh my, I guess I gotta say something. Yes. I'm so not comfortable in front of the camera, but hi. So.
Well, write your speech because you're good at writing.
Oh, thank you. That's a good point. Good point. It's very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That was actually Robert Horn at the Drama League Awards. But the Outer Critics Circle Awards is Bob Mackie, who won all the awards for his costumes for Cher. And the Cher show is closing on the 17th of August.
Hi, Bob Mackie.
So how many costumes did you design?
In my lifetime or just for the show?
Just for the show.
Well, I don't, I lost track. After we went to Chicago and we changed a lot of things, all of a sudden I did a whole lot more. So when we came to New York, I don't know, I think we're up in the hundreds, maybe a couple thousand, I don't know.
Are you very mathematical? The way you reveal skin, but still keep it tasteful. It's like genius.
Well, I've had a lot of experience in that area. You know, when you do early TV and you're trying to make everybody look naked, it's not easy. You have to be very clever.
Is there some material you like to work with more than other, like silk or satin or what?
Well, I love things that drape beautifully and don't wrinkle is a good thing.
Well, it's brilliant. I mean, it's eye-popping. Congratulations.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much.
On our next show, August 16th, Mark Savitt will be talking about Queen of Hearts. Company 14's newest Baroque burlesque treat is based on Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland. Enjoy great dancing, costumes, and drinks in their Bushwick space. He's giving this a happy face. And like you said, I'll talk about it more on August 16th. And I'm going to talk about Two's a Crowd, which has Rita Rudner in it, and it's about this unlikely event of two people sharing a hotel room in Las Vegas because there's no other rooms available, and it's a rom-com, and more on our next show. And now where to find everything we talked about and things that are going on in the future. Remember, go to our Facebook page, Twitter, and YouTube, and go see a parody production show. I'm going to see Rinse Repeat sometime in August, so I'll be talking about that. Go check out NYMF while you still can. Ice Factory always has wonderful shows, and a new theater festival called Corkscrew Theater Festival. Sip and Act, you get to drink and learn how to act.
Richard Skipper, Conway to Broadway, August 5th at St. Luke's. He's going to talk about him coming to New York and all sorts of wonderful things. And a Tootsie Burlesque is doing a tribute to Downton Abbey. I wish I were in town to see that. It looks fabulous on August 8th. And Coriolanus is going on till August 11th, but we're not seeing it till August 10th, so the review will be on the Facebook page. And Michael Feinstein will be at his own club, Feinstein's 54 Below. And Scott Siegel, not only is doing a salute to Frank Sinatra, but look for Phil Ochs and Bob Dylan and Peter Allen as well. And at the Beach Cafe, you have Nicholas King, Marissa Mulder, and Karen Eggers is back August 17th. Besides Choose a Crowd at 5959, you got Summer Shorts. And The Wild Project is still going strong with Becca Blackwell. Theater for the New City is doing their street theater that's free, no brainer, or the solution to parasites. Check out the website for which borough it's playing in for you. The Bricks has some fun stuff going on, as does The Flea. And here. And at the Irish Rep, you have Little Jam and Noel Coward Love Songs and Stories and Letters and stuff. And we'll be talking about that. And on the next show, we'll talk about the Rolling Stone, which is at the Mitzi Newhouse. And don't forget to go to our Facebook page, Twitter, and YouTube. And these shows we reviewed on the Facebook page, the Encore's Off-Center Roadshow, the Bacchae, and Broadway's Rising Star. And don't forget to pick up your Performing Arts Insider, the cultural heartbeat of New York City. Our next show is August 17th. And now I have sad news to report. We are dedicating this show to Richmond Shepard, who is the person who started Performing Arts Insider. Among his many accomplishments, he was known as the oldest mime. He had a theater named after him at one point called the Richmond Shepard Theater that was on in the 20s. It was the old Vineyard Theater. And like I said, he started Performing Arts Insider, which is to me the cultural heartbeat of New York City. I would be lost without it. He was a wonderful colleague. His daughter is Vonda Shepard, who you might know from Ally McBeal. And he will be sorely missed. He was very important in the theater community. See you August 16th.